Welcome everyone to episode 2 of House Divided. Today we're going to talk about react about what happened this weekend in college football and the NFL, and then make our predictions for this upcoming weekend. Um, First, let's go over our best bets and headlines record. I struggled on the bet side. I went 1-3. The only one that hit was my bias one, the A&M. Let's go. And then, but my headline predictions were 2-0. Jose, on the other hand, went 1-0 on his bets. So if you want to make money, tell his bets. But his headlines weren't that good. 0-2, which brings our total to mine 3-3 and his 1-2. Let's address the elephant in the room first. Jose, the Aggies won, baby. Woo!
Yeah. But I'm gonna point out, you said the reason they would win was because Connor Wegman would make the difference.
That was the only thing I was wrong about.
The difference was benching him.
Yeah, but I also said our running game would make the difference, and that it did. My Connor take was bad, I'll admit, but when Marcel Reed came in, he barely threw any passes. I think he threw 2.
He went 2 for 2.
Yeah. It was his versatility that changed the game for us.
Yeah. All right. That was definitely an interesting game, to say the least. 17-7, 3 botched field goals by LSU. That would have changed the game drastically had they gone their way. But
no, that was that Kyle Field noise. That was Aaron Nutzmeyer said, "Oh, other teams
I will say
got to stop."
The one with the false snap when he snapped it straight to the chest, that was the Kyle Field noise right there.
Yeah.
So,
quarterbacks gotta stop saying it's not that loud in there. Every time that happens, they end up losing bad. Quinn, you better watch out. If Quinn says that, you guys are screwed. Speaking of Quinn, you guys barely escaped with a win yesterday.
Barely escaped with a win, which is something Bama didn't do.
Yeah.
We looked fine. We looked sloppy, really, is what it was. We looked sloppy. We were the better team, but we were very sloppy, which has plagued us. It plagued us in our loss to Georgia. We were sloppy. When we played OU, we were sloppy. Sloppiness is ULM. We played sloppy. Mississippi State, it was sloppy. We were able to win because we were the better team, and that's going to continue being a thing. We don't really have a game where being sloppy is going to force us to lose until we go into Kyle Field. So it'll be interesting to see that dynamic with that. What's your opinion on my boy Quinn and the boys?
I don't know. I feel like I'll be honest. I didn't watch a lot of that game. I was watching it here and there because of the wedding, but which, by the way, was amazing. I had a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but anyway,
it was a good time.
Yeah. Good to see my sister get married. It was fun. But yeah, I think you guys did look sloppy. You guys should have came in, especially after that sloppy game against Georgia, and taken care of business. And you guys didn't. You got the win, which is all that matters. But yeah, I did not. It wasn't a pretty win, I'll say the least. And
I will say
was not.
The bye week could not come soon enough. The bye week is needed, and it's going to hopefully transform us into the new number 1 team. But speaking of number 1 teams, is Oregon the favorites to win it all after they did to Illinois what they did? And that's coming after the week where Illinois did what they did to Michigan.
Yeah. I would say right now they're the favorites because obviously they're undefeated and they've looked impressive against everyone. Beating Ohio State, which I think is a really good team, probably the best roster in the country. Yeah, it was an impressive win. Illinois is a good team, nothing crazy. I'm not overhyping that win, but it was a good win. It was never a game, and I do think Oregon's the favorite to win it all, which is why they're number 1. I would say them and Georgia. I think
I was going to say I disagree with the Oregon take. I think it's Georgia.
Okay, I think I've seen flaws in Georgia in some games. Maybe Oregon in the beginning, but that's to come with like early games. But I've seen flaws in Georgia in mid-season where you usually don't see them. But we'll see how Oregon does the rest of the way. They have a big game coming up against Michigan this week. But speaking of the Big Ten, Ohio State barely squeaking it out against Nebraska.
Barely squeaking by. Just like my Longhorns, they did the same exact thing, except they were down more. But good comeback by Will Howard and the Buckeyes. I don't think this is going to be normal for them. It does make me feel that my Indiana beating them is a better take. I don't like when I don't look as crazy anymore. But I'm not super worried about them. I still think they are the Big Ten favorite in my opinion. So yeah, even if they keep squeaking by some games, I think they'll be fine as long as they get things together. By the time Michigan comes to the shoe, they really have to be clicking. Because I think they win that game big. But if they struggle against that team, I will really be unsure of what to feel about that team.
Yeah, that's true. I think there isn't that big of a concern. I think it was just kind of a look-ahead spot. They were worried about Penn State, and they kind of overlooked Nebraska a little bit. I'm not saying completely, but a little bit. It kind of showed. But they just have an insane roster, insane receivers, running backs that when the game came down to crunch time, they just showed up and squeaked out a win. But I agree. I think they need to be clicking when Michigan comes in because Michigan, obviously Harbaugh and all those boys are not there anymore. But Michigan has had their number the last couple of years, and Ryan Day in big games has not shown up. But I think they'll handle them good this year, but we'll see. It'll be an interesting game. Now let's move to the NFL. Did you watch that Commanders game? Did you see that Hail Mary?
I did watch the Commanders game. And here's a funny story, right? I'm boarding my plane, and I'm like, well, we don't know if Jaden Daniels is playing, so I need to pick up a quarterback. I pick up Caleb Williams. And I'm thinking, okay, this is great. I think Caleb Williams might even have the best game because even if Jaden does play, I mean, with his ribs, you take one step to the ribs, you're done, right? So I decide I want to play Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. Boy, was that a mistake, huh? Caleb Williams put up 9 points. Jaden Daniels, 24 with the Hail Mary, and he cements something. The question was, are the Commanders for real? Now, I think that's a two-way question. I think, are they for real in the NFC East? I think for sure they are. Right as of now, they're my pick to win the NFC East. I want to see how they fare against Philadelphia now that they've gotten things going. But I don't think, if you mean are they for real as in Super Bowl contenders, they are not there yet to me. What about you?
I agree. I think with the Cowboys playing like they have, not showing up in big games, getting killed some games, and the Eagles kind of picked up a bit but still struggling, and the Commanders just surprising a lot of people and taking command of, not meaning enough to use a pun there, of some of these games, and Jane Daniels performing the way he is. I think they are the favorite. I don't think, like you said, they're Super Bowl yet. I think they could make a playoff run, but I don't think they'll. They obviously have a chance to win it all, but I wouldn't. They're still inexperienced. They still got to go through some season bumps, and I mean they should have won. They should have lost Sunday. They just got lucky.
I agree.
I wouldn't even say lucky. I mean, obviously it was a good throw and a good catch, but I mean the Bears
Tyree Stevenson.
The Bears players were taunting the crowd. They weren't pretty focused that way,
They
but
weren't ready.
I feel like if I was the coach of that team, he would not be playing the next game. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'd say that, but definitely some disciplinary action during the week. But let's go from a very pleasant surprise in the Commanders to the most traumatizing surprise of the year, the New York Jets. What's wrong with the Jets?
I don't really know. Like on paper, they're a pretty good roster, a pretty good team, but you put it out there on the field and it's just not clicking. Aaron Rodgers isn't the same as he used to be. He's still a good quarterback, but he's not the same as he used to be. Throwing in Devontae Adams is a good thing for their offense, gets Garrett more looks, but you can't just throw a superstar receiver in the middle of the season and expect it to click right away, even though they do have that history. But it's still kind of hard to mesh with the new team. Their defense is what's shocked me more. They were an elite defense, and they haven't been terrible, but not to the standards we expected the Jets defense from last year and coming in. And I don't know what's going on. I don't think they were coming in like this Super Bowl favorite like a lot of people thought, but I didn't expect them to be 2-6 right now. especially losing to some of the teams they have lost to. What about you? What you think about the New York Jets?
I think, well, the innate problem is what the Jets have always been haunted by. They can't get anything right. They are putting together a team of former Packers that couldn't get it done in their primes. What makes you think they're going to do it in the pressure of New York City when they're all past their primes? Aaron Rodgers needs to go into the darkness and stay there. He's done. Retire. The Jets, you can't really fire sale because you've wasted all your picks already trading for players. You had the disaster with Hassan Reddick, who's come back and didn't look great. Devontae Adams, what has he done? And he's going to cost you a second-round pick after he plays all of this. I don't love it. Really, what you have to pray for is hope that this team meshes together, because if not, you're going to be in some serious problems, not just this year, for a while. Because Rodgers might come next year, play another year, and it's going to be just as bad. Or he could retire, and now you're stuck drafting another quarterback or finding some journeyman. Pray he turns into Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, or you're stuck on that same loop of Jets drafting quarterbacks early. Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. It's the same thing over and over, and it's the same thing again this year.
Yeah, the Jets kind of remind me of the Clippers right now.
Yeah,
went all in, didn't work out.
All in,
no
with
features.
Players past their primes.
Injuries, a lot of injury-prone players. So we'll see what both teams do in that aspect.
At least the Clippers owners is kind of liked for that new stadium where he's celebrating with the fans. It came out of his own pocket. It's his billions, not the city's billions. He's rewarding the loudest fans with concessions.
Yeah, I think that is really cool, especially for a basketball stadium. It's one of the coolest ones I've seen. Your Steelers, they've been pretty good this season. I'm not gonna lie.
Let Russ cook.
Hey, don't say that. Don't say that. That's when he starts doing bad. But what are your thoughts on your Steelers this year?
I like it. That's how the Steelers play. That's the elite defense, even though they've only been elite, not elite. But good, solid defense. You don't give up a lot. You get turnovers, and then on offense, you don't turn the ball over. You play with a good run game, which we kind of had with Fields, but since Russell Wilson opened up the pass, he's gotten Calvin Austin unlocked. He got George Pickens unlocked. I think it's only a matter of time. Maybe guys like Darnell Washington and Pat Fryermuth are going to get going a lot more. Special teams has looked really, really good these last couple of weeks. Shout out Danny Smith, best special teams coordinator in the world. So the Steelers are looking good. I have my own bold take about them that I don't think will come true. In my opinion, TJ Watt is the MVP of the league. I think the impact he has on the Steelers is greater than any quarterback has on their own team. I think if you take Mahomes off the Chiefs, they're a better team than the Steelers without TJ Watt. I think you take Lamar out the Ravens, they're a better team than the Steelers without Watt. Same goes for Josh Allen and the Bills. So
I don't agree with Josh Allen.
I know a lot of
is that team. I could see like Mahomes because he hasn't played very good this season, and the Chiefs are still winning games. And I don't necessarily agree with Lamar that much. I could see it, but I don't.
I'm just saying the Steelers
take away Josh Allen on that team and put in a backup quarterback, and the
Steelers
NFL teams really bad.
The Steelers, since they drafted TJ Watt, have played 12 games without him. They are 1-11. I don't know their exact records, but the Ravens have played without Lamar. The Chiefs have played without Mahomes, and they all have better records without their quarterbacks than the Steelers without TJ Watt. Now, I'm not saying TJ Watt is going to win the MVP. It's going to take something absolutely insane, like 25 sacks or more to do that, which he will not do. But I do think in the sense of most valuable player, he is the most valuable player to his team. That's my bold take. But
I
at
don't know.
least he's the defensive player of the year. That's my
Yeah.
consolation.
I agree with that. He's the most valuable defensive player. He's probably valuable than some quarterbacks, but there's some quarterbacks I think I'm more about. Like Josh Allen, that team is nothing without him. Like I'll be honest, they're nothing. But your team's having a positive year. On the other hand, mine is
On
just
the other hand,
crumbling.
at least, hey, you got the silver lining of you beat us.
Yeah, I know. Well, that only works an argument against you, but against like everyone else, it really doesn't.
Against
But
everyone else, at least the Giants are under you.
yeah, I mean, I don't even know what we need to do. Like, I think we made a mistake paying Dak this offseason, obviously, but we can't take that money back. Going into the season, I was hoping unless Dak did something crazy and took us a step further, we should let him walk and get a rookie or a journeyman because I feel like a lot of quarterbacks can do what he's doing, just throwing picks and an occasional good throw here and there. I think sometimes, obviously, we want to get the ball to CD Lamb, but he's forcing it and it's causing interceptions or just incompletions. We can't run the ball to do any to save our life. We tried 4 different running backs, it just doesn't work. Our defense, obviously, injuries have plagued us recently, but we've let the Saints put 40 plus. The Lions is putting 40 plus on everyone, but still 40 plus. This banged up Niners team in the second half came out like a bullet shot out of a train and just got anything they wanted. And it's just, obviously, I want Jerry Jones to go and just hit the whole reset, maybe keep Micah and CD because they're still kind of young and elite at their positions and let everyone else walk because this is not good. I don't see how keeping this same structured team we can make a run in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I don't see that anyway. And paying Dak $60 million a year, I like Dak. I think he's a good quarterback. I would have paid him Baker Mayfield money, $30 million a year, and I am screaming of happiness. Double that a year it's not plausible. The Cowboys are going to be in trouble for a couple of years.
Yeah. Anyway, enough sadness for this episode.
Happy days.
Let's go into our predictions for this weekend. What NFL game are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, we were just talking about them. The Dallas Cowboys. We're going from 2 of the most quarterback talk situations of the summer. All off season, it was, are the Cowboys going to pay Dak? Is he going to play? What's it going? We eventually learned they paid him the $60 million. But there was the even more dramatic Atlanta Falcons quarterback room, which we talked about all year. Michael Penix drafting him top 10 after you just paid Kirk Cousins. That's the game I'm most interested in. The Falcons are hosting. It's a noon game. Kind of would have liked it to be a 4:00 game because it's a good game. I think like they're pretty close, especially with the way Atlanta's played some games really, really good. Some games not so great. They open as 3-point favorites. About half the bets are on Atlanta right now. It's a 52-48 split, 52 towards Atlanta. And quick prediction, I think Atlanta wins, and I think they cover. I think Bijan really has a great game against this Cowboys defense that's been struggling. So, yeah. Kyle Pitts has been getting going lately, so look to him that way. On the other side, the Atlanta Falcons defense isn't my favorite, so I'm very interested in seeing if this is a good game where Dak and CD can continue building on that momentum. They had garbage time against San Francisco.
Hey, we were coming back.
I know, right? And get that offense going. That's what I want to see them build. And just gel together, really, what they'd been struggling to all year to do, and they got going late last game.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I've given up on Super Bowl aspirations. I would like to see a playoff game or two, but if not, like at least CD Lamb's on my fantasy team, so just keep feeding that guy. Yeah, I think that'll be a good game. I think if we win, it'll give us some life, but not much. Yeah, a game I'm looking forward to is the Packers versus Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Winner takes control of the NFC North barely because that's
and the NFC.
Yeah, and the NFC. I think the Packers are that kind of team that you're like, oh, like who's on their team? Like they're not that they're a good on paper team, but not expecting them to be this good. And they've really performed. The Lions, obviously, after the rough couple 2 weeks, they've been blowing everyone out and taking care of business. And I think right now the Lions are my Super Bowl favorite. But it'll be interesting how they handle a tough divisional matchup against the Packers, who have been playing good, running the ball. We'll see if Jordan Love's playing. I'm not sure yet, but with or without him, I think it'll be a good game. I would take the Lions to win just because what I've seen them do, not to necessarily great teams, but just dominating teams like they should. Even like Jared Goff barely throwing an incomplete pass and running the ball over teams like those two-headed monster and Gibbs and Montgomery is just special. And their defense still clicking without Aiden Hutchinson. Not an elite level, but they're still clicking. I think it'll be a good matchup and a great divisional rivalry game that will dictate a lot of the rest of the season.
How do you think Malik Willis and Jordan Love's injury impacts the game? With the odds, how do you think would you switch to Love if he were confirmed playing, or do you think the Green Bay keeps it close with Willis even if if Love doesn't play?
I think Green Bay finds a way to keep any game close and find a way to win anyway. So I think obviously I would like the Packers a bit more with Jordan Love because they'll have more of a passing attack.
Yeah,
but I like the Packers run game, and Malik can make a throw here and there, and their defense has been really good this season. So I think it'll be a good game no matter what, but I would, with Jordan Love, it would just open up their offense a lot more, obviously, and maybe keep the ball away from the Lions more and don't let their offense get as many touches as they have so far in the season. But yeah, I would like the Lions in that game, but
I think I like the Lions in that game as well. Like you said, Goff, 85 yards a week ago, 52 points from the Lions.
Yeah.
That's insane. That offense has got players everywhere. Best offensive line in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is probably the best running duo. We have a good receiving room with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, we're going to have to see what Jameson Williams' investigation pans out to be. But Sam Laporta, while he's been disappointing, is still a really good player. So that offense is unstoppable. And the best part, my favorite mind in football, I can't believe he doesn't have a head coaching job. Ben Johnson is revolutionizing offense. So
yeah. Well, he had a bunch of offers. He decided to stay with the Lions.
He decided to stay, which is impressive. I love that loyalty. It speaks to the culture. They're a family in Detroit, really.
Yeah. I like that team a lot, except when they kill the Cowboys. But speaking of killing, I feel like we both had a decent fantasy season. So we're starting to do this thing where every week we're going to pick 3 fantasy players where we think they're going to do really good. And we're going to add it to our scoreboard of the year-long thing. And basically the requirements is if we get a win if the fantasy player we predict is going to have a big week, does 5 more points than their projected points. So for this week, I have Bijan Robinson because, like you said, Dallas defense is not it, and you saw what Kamara did against us. You saw what the 2 Detroit running backs did against us. I think Bijan and that great Atlanta running attack is going to have a field day against that defense. My second one, I'm going with David Njoku. Chargers have a good defense, but aren't the best against tight ends. And we saw what Jameis did last week. I think he's going to rely on Njoku more in tough third down situations, and I think he'll have a decent game. And then lastly, A.J. Brown. They have a good matchup this week, and I think they're going to air it out, and Hurts is going to find his number 1 receiver, A.J. Brown, probably 100 yards, a touchdown, a couple catches here and there. I think he'll have a big game.
All right, I agree. For my picks, I'm going to start out with Justin Jefferson. Indianapolis is 24th. It has the 24th best passing defense, 227 yards a game. I think Justin Jefferson changes that for Minnesota, and they can get more against that weak passing defense. Then my second pick, I have Alvin Kamara, who's facing the Panthers. who are 31st in total defense, 25th passing, and allowing 17 passing touchdowns, which is the most in the league, I believe. And rush, and because we know Kamara is a great receiving running back, and they're also 31st in rushing defense, rushing defense. So allows a lot for Kamara to move around. So that's why I'm taking Kamara to go so high. And then my last pick is Bo Nix. Surprising pick compared to the ones we've picked so far. I don't think he'll be the week's top quarterback. I just think he might be the one to outperform his projection the most because he's facing the worst passing defense in the league, and he has a lot of momentum. He's played great all of October, and I think he gets above that 5+5 projection this week.
Yeah, good picks. Now let's move on to our college football, what we think is going to happen this weekend. So do you think Penn State, big matchup, Penn State, Ohio State, do you think Penn State can finally get over the hump and beat Ohio State this weekend in Happy Valley?
Spoiler alert, I'm making my headline pick early today. The answer is no. My headline for the week is the Buckeyes tame the Lions. Penn State falls short once again. I know people are concerned how we've seen Ohio State against Nebraska, the loss against Oregon. I think this team's got the best roster all around. They might be better at every single position than Penn State. I think Penn State is only ranked as high as they are because they're undefeated compared to some other teams. So yeah, I'm taking the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be a close game because that environment will be hostile, and Penn State is a good team, but I think Ohio State comes in and takes care of business and solidifies themselves as a top 3 team in this country. Speaking of a top 3 team in this country, can Oregon come into the big house and keep rolling?
Absolutely. They're covering. They're going to keep everything going. I love the big house atmosphere. It's not going to be enough. I love the Michigan defense. It's not going to be enough. They might hold them off early for a little bit. Maybe they'll only score 7 in the first quarter, but with that offense, I know Davis Warren and Alex Orji just had their best game of the year combined. Jack Tuttle just retired because of concussions. So the situation in Michigan is so uncertain. I think they're just going to be a disaster again on offense. Max, I think they score. I don't think they get into double-digit scoring. I do think Oregon puts up like minimum 27 points. So I think they might struggle first quarter, but after that, it's going to be all Oregon.
Yeah, I agree. I think Oregon's offense is just too much. Like, I don't think they can put up less than 20 points. And honestly, I don't think Michigan can get to 20 points against this Oregon defense. So
yeah,
I think Oregon will continue to roll. Spoiler too, I have Oregon covering the spread in my best bets.
Yeah, there we go. We keep spoiling our predictions.
Yeah. I'll explain more why I think they'll cover, but yeah, I like Oregon a lot. I think Michigan's just a lot of turnover from last year, and I think Oregon is one of the favorites to win it all. So I think they'll take care of business in that big house.
Yeah, the big house atmosphere is it's great, but when you're gonna be down early, there's only so riled up they can get when you're not that great. So speaking of great atmospheres, let's talk about your precious Texas A&M, Kyle Field. Oh my God, I can't hear. Tough road test. They have to go into the hostile environment this week to face the Cox. Can they handle the Cox on the road this week?
I don't know about Cox, but yeah, I'll be honest. After that Notre Dame game, this is obviously Texas later down the road, but the next game I was stressing about was this one. 2 years ago, we went in and got thumped by them. Obviously, we're a better team than then, but it's a hostile environment. I was praying the whole time it wasn't a night game, and of course, it is a night game. And I think it'll be a tough test. I do think we'll take care of business, but it'll be a good test to see where we're at. And honestly, like second true road game for us, we played at Florida and took care of business. Didn't give them a chance, but I think South Carolina is a better team than Florida. And yeah, I'm a little scared, I'll be honest, but I think we'll take care of business. I think our run game will make the difference. They have a good run game as well, but I think our D-line can slow it down just enough for us to get the edge.
All right. Yeah, I think so. I think you guys win this week as well. I'd like South Carolina to do what they've done this year so far, but they've beat some good teams. But I don't know. I think Lenora Sellers will sell again, and with Marcel Reed, this rushing attack really is something special. As much as I hate to admit it, and I think you guys. I don't think it's as stressful as you say it's gonna be. I do think I don't think you're going to run away with it. I do think you guys might even go ahead and cover that 2.5 spread. So,
yeah, it's just like I'm stressed because it's the typical Aggie thing: win a big game and lose a easy one, or not necessarily easy, or lose a game we should win after. So it's just a little stressful in that aspect. And yeah, I think we do cover the spread as well. But anyway, who remains perfect in the ACC? SMU.
Pittsburgh makes perfect. That's what I've been saying all year, right? Pittsburgh makes perfect.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I totally didn't say they'd lose to Syracuse a week ago. That never happened. Pittsburgh makes perfect. I'm taking them. That defense proved me horribly wrong a week ago. I'm not making the same mistake twice. The Panthers, I won't say they're serious contenders in the ACC behind Clemson and Miami. I do think they're the third best team, though, and they're going to cement that again this week.
Yeah. I like Pittsburgh team, but I like SMU's too. And I think SMU takes care of business and
really
and remains undefeated in conference. I do.
Well, we're going to have to – that's going to be our game, then. That's the one we're debating, huh?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. That's the one.
Yes, I just like the Mustangs.
Mustang's gonna get eaten up by the Panthers.
You'll see.
Panthers are predators.
Mustangs look pretty.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing to say.
Yeah, whatever. You lost the last disagreement we had.
True.
I think I'll win this one as well.
Yeah, the stakes aren't as high for this one.
That's
the excitement's not there. But
true.
Yeah.
Speaking of the ACC, Clemson has their first road test, their first test in a while since Georgia against Louisville. How do you think they do?
Calling it a test is not something. It's more like a take-home group quiz for the Clemson Tigers, really. Louisville wasn't what they were last year, and they've disappointed me really this year. Clemson, on the other hand, has one of my Heisman top 5 in Cade Klubnik. I think that offense keeps going, and I think that defense shuts down Louisville. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Clemson's offense continues to roll. Louisville will put up some points, but not enough to match Clemson. And yeah, it's the first test they've had in a while, so they're coming off a bye, so I think they'll come out swinging. But I think there'll be a point in the game where they're a little shocked or a little stopped for a little bit, and then they'll take off and take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Clemson, we're going to go right into our headlines and best bets because they are my best bet of the week. I've got them covering the 11.5 points because of that offense. I think Cade Klubnik will – this is not my best bet, but I also think Cade Klubnik hits his over in yards and touchdowns. But that is not my best bet. My best bet is only the cover.
Yeah, I like that as well. I was looking at it, but I was a little scared because I think this being their first good team they play since Georgia, they could be a little shocked, but I could see them just blowing them out of the water as well. My best bets, like I said, I have Oregon -15. Dan Lanning is undefeated. Sorry. Under Dan Lanning, when they're double-digit favorites, they're 7-1 against the spread when playing on the road, and that's the situation here going into Michigan. And then Oregon this year is 2-1 against the spread on away games, and Michigan is 2-4 against the spreads at home. I just think Oregon's the way better team, and Michigan is not going to put up nearly enough points to keep it within 15. My other best bet I have is A&M minus 2.5. Like I said, I'm a little scared, but I think we'll win, and I don't mind laying a field goal. I think it'll be a close game, but a field goal to me is enough for us to win. My other best bet, I have Washington plus 3. Washington at home is 3-1 against the spread this year, and USC is 0-3 in away games against the spread. And also USC in their last 8 road games, they're 1-7 against the spread. And versus Washington in their last 5 games, they're 1-4 against the spread. I think that crowd is going to be the difference for Washington and keep it within those 3 points. Speaking of Washington, my NFL best bet is the Commanders minus 3.5.
That was mine.
Washington is 6-1-1 against the spread this season, 4-0 when they're favorites in it. They already covered against the Giants once this season, and I just think Washington's a way better team than those nasty Giants, and I think they can kind of blow them out a little bit because I do not like the Giants whatsoever.
Yeah, going right off of that, I mean, I guess we'll go the same on the scoreboard. I have Washington covering as well. Like you said, they covered a week ago in New York. I think they're a better team now than they are then. And I think New York might be a worse team than they were then. So,
yeah, I agree. And my headlines for this weekend are newcomer in ACC stays undefeated. I think SMU beats Pittsburgh, and they stay undefeated in conference. And my other one is Lane Kiffin in the hot seat. I think, obviously, Ole Miss hasn't met the expectations everyone had for them of making a push for the playoffs, and they still could if they went out, but they just haven't looked too good in the last couple of weeks, kind of keeping it a little close with Oklahoma. I think this Arkansas road test is going to be tough for them. I could still see them winning, but if they have another close game, the hot seat and the seat under Lane Kiffin is going to get a little boiling, especially if they lose, and he might be out of there if they keep performing the way they have performing, or just rise the tensions for his job.
Yeah. For my headlines, as I said earlier, I have my headline was the Buckeyes tame the Lions, because I have the Buckeyes winning there again. As I explained earlier, I think they're a better team at every position. James Franklin doesn't get it done in the big games. He doesn't get it done again. And Ryan Day, while some people say he doesn't win the big games, those big games are against the Michigan team, which are the only 3 losses he's had in the Big Ten before he played the Oregon Ducks this year. And his other losses had been to Georgia. So I think he gets business done against Penn State, as he always does. And then my other headline is I have the big house goes green. Instead of go blue, go green. The Ducks are going to do what they do. They're going to be number 1 again. Dylan Gabriel, I think, cements himself again as one of the top 5 for the Heisman. He is the Heisman betting favorite, I think I saw. Even though I disagree with that, I think he cements himself again there this week. And a little bonus, I saw earlier this week, Michigan's looking to turn number 1 player in the country, Bryce Underwood. With the performance this week, there's no shot I think that happens. And then my favorite headline of the week, Jose, heart attack list for the week. Texas Longhorns on a bye, Pittsburgh Steelers on a bye. I got nothing to worry about. I can sit there, I can relax, I can enjoy some sports, some football. And there's not a doubt in my mind that my team's going to lose, because they can't. They can't lose. I can't lose. It's amazing.
That's the only time I've been stress-free for the Cowboys is when we're on bye. The boys cannot lose a bye.
The boys cannot lose a bye.
That concludes this episode of House Divided. Thanks for watching. Starting from this episode, we're going to be releasing our reactions on Tuesday and then our predictions on Friday. We were just at the wedding the whole weekend and just had a lot going on, but we'll be on our stuff more. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.